We're going back in history, 340 years, right? So that complicates everything.
And I think Brown has a place that has a history of just oppression and slavery. I think that this university has kind of a there's a necessity for them to really address these issues in a way that can bring whatever community that they're trying to reach, which is the Pokanoket Tribe, into the discussions. Because I know that the university has stated that they're in talks with them, and I remember other students who've said that those discussions haven't been taking place in a very fair way.
Native American history is the history of the foundation of the United States of America. English settlers' early interactions and conversations with Native American tribes throughout the United States molded the outcomes of many important political, social, and demographic decisions that are still relevant today. The first meeting of Native Americans and British colonists in the Northeast occurred in 1620 between the Wampanoag tribe and the Pilgrims. In 1662, Metacom became chief of the Wampanoag tribe. As the Wampanoag people and English settlers became more intertwined, the new chief adopted the English name King Philip. Ultimately, the Plymouth colony treated the Wampanoag people unfairly, placed unjust trade sanctions on them, and claimed land that the natives subsisted on. In an upheaval led by King Philip, multiple tribes in the area attempted to limit Puritan growth to their native lands. As tensions in the conflict grew violent, Metacom was fatally shot by a group of rangers on August 12, 1676, in the Muir Swamp at Bristol, Rhode Island. What began with a conflict over the right to land still has not come to a close to this day. Currently, Brown University, a top school in the United States, owns the land where King Philip was shot. Recently, the Pokanoket Tribe held a 5-week occupation on the 375-acre land that they claim is sacred ground and rightfully belongs to their tribe. Although an agreement was reached on September 21st, following weeks of negotiations between the two sides and the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America, we attempted to gain an inside look at the present land right issues involved with the Pokanoket Tribe occupation at Brown University's Bristol campus. We decided to go to the Bristol Research Facility, where Native American artifacts are held and researched, and also where the occupation took place. Upon arrival, we were confused on how the land was being used, because there was barely any people around. We finally found a research student who indicated that the seat of Metacom was located on the property, but that we would need to request a pass to visit from the local nonprofit Mount Hope Farm, located down the road. We decided to continue searching the property and came upon a sign that pointed us in the direction of Metacom's seat. After questioning why Brown would privatize the land, we found a local residence and attempted to ask questions, but no one was home. Confused about whether we were in the right location, we visited Mount Hope Farm and were informed that we could get a pass. Neither the student researcher or attendee at Mount Hope Farm was willing to provide information on the occupation to us. Since it was difficult to attain comments from individuals on the land where the controversy took place, we attempted to gain other perspectives. However, when we contacted the Native American and Indigenous Studies Department at Brown University, we were declined an interview. Furthermore, upon requesting an interview with the head of communications for the Pokanoket Tribe, we were declined once more. Both parties offered the same reasoning upon their declination, that, quote, "The situation is still ongoing, and both the university and the tribe are working hard to fulfill our respective parts of the agreement we have signed." Due to the fact that we were denied interviews with the specific parties involved, we reached out to Alex Kuffner, a writer of many of the articles covering the situation in the Providence Journal.
Interesting. So this has been something that's clearly been going on since the 1990s, and this summer was kind of the tipping point that started the encampment, or?
So the tribe, we did not hear much from them at all for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
They were considered part of the Wampanoag Nation, which is a larger group of tribes, mainly in southern Massachusetts or southeastern Massachusetts, Cape Cod, in that area. And there are two federally recognized tribes that are part of that Wampanoag group. In the mid-1990s, we started hearing more from the Pokanokets. They started appearing at meetings in Bristol, claiming that they were, an independent tribe, independent of the Wampanoag Nation.
And how did the Wampanoags take that? They were like okay with it, or?
So, again, I wasn't here back. No, I wasn't here back then. But according to our coverage, I mean, I didn't see that much or anyone sort of arguing against this. I don't think it probably meant that much to anyone back then because they didn't have federal recognition, they didn't have any legal standing, so they were making claims and they didn't really have any recourse to back it up in any way, so I don't think they were seen as any sort of threat. And I think that went on for a number of years. Back in Bristol in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, they were approaching legislators down there to try to get the General Assembly, the Rhode Island General Assembly, to give them some sort of recognition or backing in their application for federal recognition. And I went to a couple of those hearings back then. There was no opposition. Okay. And again, I don't think it's because there wouldn't have been any. I just think that they weren't taken seriously. And even when this encampment started, I don't think a lot of people really took them that seriously, honestly. What they want is they consider this sacred ground. They want to have access to hold ceremonies there. They want to have some sort of stewardship role, and I'm not sure if that means actually going in and taking care of the land. But I think the main thing is that they want to get in there whenever they desire to have ceremonies and that sort of thing. And I think again, I don't think that Brown was necessarily stopping them from doing that now, but I think this idea of the trust, I think it gives them more standing. That's what this is really all about, and I think they see that recognition as a first step.
We also decided to approach Brown University students to hear their thoughts on the situation.
Are you aware of the Pokanoket encampment on Brown University's land in Bristol, Rhode Island?
Yeah, but I thought it's been resolved now. Yes, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very vaguely.
Very little.
Yes.
Yes.
I know that it's an issue on campus. I don't know a lot of the details about it.
Do you feel that many of your friends, like many Brown students, are also familiar?
I think with the group that I hang out with, so I'm part of the first gen low income group, and I think these discussions usually occur in kind of the community discussions that I have with them. But I think outside of that group, there's a lot of misinformation or unclarity about what the Pokanoket Tribe is.
Yes. I'm not certain. It's in the morning mail. That's what, and they send out a couple emails about it, but if you don't read the emails, you probably wouldn't know.
That's true.
Yes.
Probably not enough.
I think we are. We've definitely gotten emails about it, and there was a protest around matriculation time, so a lot of new students saw what was going on, and yeah, there's been lots of debate on campus about the issue.
Yeah, everyone's aware of it. It's just a matter of the extent to which they've read, various statements, but everyone's heard about it, I think, pretty much.
I don't think so.
I think people have heard about it, but I wouldn't say they're really aware or informed. Most people. I wouldn't say I'm that informed either yet.
Yeah, they sent out an email at the beginning of the year, and also there was a small protest.
Are you aware of the outcome at all?
No.
I think there was sort of a deal that was reached where they would jointly take care of the land or something like that. Yeah.
No. That's an area where I'm a little bit not really sure about it, because on one hand I want to be someone who supports the school, but then I have a lot of friends and reading the posts that I find on Facebook where people are just not okay with the school's response to what's happening. So like I'm a little on like in
Definitely.
between. So I'm not 100% sure of the situation, and I'm not aware enough of the issue for me to actually give a good response.
Yeah, they definitely sent us an email. I didn't really read it, but they definitely sent us one. I think it definitely said that there was like a settlement, some sort of agreement, but I don't remember what. I like skimmed through it. Yeah.
I know Brown's trying to reach a settlement. I don't know if they have, but they've definitely, I got an email about them starting to pay off or like sell some of the land or like in negotiation. So I know there is something happening. I don't know the details.
I was not. It's probably because I didn't read the full email. Yeah.
I'm aware that it was resolved, but if you asked me to kind of say the specifics of the conditions, I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head. I don't know. I don't even know if it's been fully resolved, but
There's nothing, I can't make any definitive conclusions about anything with this.
Really?
I think with a lot of Native American issues, it's incredibly complicated. And the history is in so much dispute that it's really hard to come out with any conclusions.
Through our extensive research, we have concluded that globalization's impact on land rights is an extremely difficult argument to quantify. Due to the lack of historical specificity on either side, as well as the blurred and indirect genealogical mingling that has transpired over centuries. Globalization as a practice has been an unjust process. Throughout history, the neglects, injustices, and abuse inflicted upon their native residents by their overly zealous colonizers is arguably the most divisive consequence of globalization as a practice. These practices, which were not only performed but justified and institutionalized, have shaped the course of history. Consequently, the very fabric of many of our modern-day social, legal, and economic principles was woven by these unethical conquerors for the purpose of preserving their unethical conquests. As we learned throughout this course, globalization's primary characteristics look a lot like those we might associate with colonization, such as the British colonization of Native American tribes in North America between the 17th and 19th centuries, and evidently justified in the Valladolid debate between Las Casas and Sepulveda. Native Americans were seen as potential subjects to Christ's jurisdiction, and therefore were colonized by the superior forces of the major European powers by justification of natural law. Las Casas believed this colonization should be done in a specific way that gave the natives the tools to salvation. Whereas Sepulveda believed the natives were dull-witted and thought admonition and teaching was too slow of a process. If the so-called barbarians resisted, then arms could be taken as justified by the natural order of obeying those who held more civilized customs and usages. In context to the contested debate between Brown University and the Pokanoket Tribe in Bristol, Rhode Island, this unfathomably unjust paradox is embodied by the fact that the Native American tribes are desperately fighting to reclaim their land from the very people who took it from them in the first place. This is not something of the past. Brown University issued a statement to the students and faculty calling into question the connection of the Pokanoket Tribe to the Wampanoag Tribe. Brown claims that the Pokanoket Tribe members joined the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe after King Philip's War. Thus, the Native American tribe does not have the property rights to the land. The agreement that was reached between the tribe and Brown University includes the creation of a trust to ensure conservation of a portion of the land and access to it by Native Americans. However, Alex Kuffner has stated that in order for a trust to be created and the Native Americans to gain access to this land, all of the tribes that claimed the land, the Wampanoag, Narragansett, and Pokanoket, must reach an agreement, which Kuffner states would be incredibly difficult. Regardless of the Pokanoket tribe's status as being merged with another tribe or separate, we must question whether the land was ever Rudolf Haffenreffer's to give to Brown University in the first place, and what socio-political factors gave him the right to claim it. Given the unchangeable nature of history, we are currently faced with two major challenges moving forward. Firstly, to deal with every human interaction ethically in order to limit future generational injustice, and secondly, to do everything in our power to combat the current unjust principles that have been woven into the constitutions of conventional thought.